The God Rock made its return to Rust earlier this month with the World Update, and we're going full circle on this channel because 6 or 7 years ago, my very first video was a rock formation base inside of one of these. So you could say I'm a bit of a God Rock connoisseur, and I'm going to show you my new updated version of how I used to build in these things. First of all, these are basically above ground cave bases, and this is extremely tanky. It's going to be able to take tons of rockets, but that also means it requires a lot of resources. So with that in mind, let's take a tour of the base and then go into how you actually go about building it. Everything about this base is extremely customizable and up to your playstyle preferences. Similarly to how cave bases work, the most important thing is the floor plan and making sure that everything is sealed off correctly. The front of this base here is actually a second base, and the main base is a different TC off in the backside. And over there we have about 8 or 9 walls, and you could make it even more if you want to. And then in the center we have a sort of a snake pattern through the front that goes over into the secondary base that we have to defend. The whole point of this base is that the backside is impenetrable and the front is equally as impenetrable with traps and doors and, mazes. And now you can do things like set up a seismic sensor to a smart alarm in 2 seconds and then get a text message on your phone so you can get online to defend your base, which just makes the God Rock even better than it was before. So as you can see, we have a sort of a cardboard type of an entrance. It's not the strongest thing in the world, but for an online defense, it's pretty crazy. We've got multiple layers, multiple floors, and visibility through the whole front of the base. And then once you've reached the middle, you can enter into our cave style base, guarded by auto turrets, shotgun traps, flame turrets. Put a bunch of doors down in here, upgrade everything to armored when you can, maybe create a different sort of a pattern because this is only 3 walls until you get over to here. But after going through the whole front base, it's pretty much as strong as it would be if they were going through this backside, which you can see I punched a hole through just to show you how many walls you're able to put between you and the other side of your base, so you can focus more on strengthening the front of it. The front of this base is my favorite part with the multiple layers to it. I use ladder hatches here to get up and down, but you could use a staircase or something. I put my windows on the embrasures and then pick them up when I need to so that the base is always fully sealed. And then the next ladder hatch above that takes us up to the shooting floor, and the floor above that we have another shooting floor, then roof access, which leads us out to the God Rock itself. And it's always best to have more roots in your base than I have here. This is just an example base that I put together very quickly. So now let's get into what you should be considering when building inside of a God Rock. The first thing you'll notice is that the terrain underneath the God Rock will always be different. And that's one of the best parts about these new rock formations is you can freestyle, freehand any type of base that you want as long as you know what you're doing before you get into it, which is the whole point of this video. The first thing you want to do is head to the smaller entrance, which I'm going to call the backside, because our main base is going to be over here, the one that's in the style of a cave base. And what I would recommend doing is walling it off with 3 triangles like this and make sure that they're low enough that somebody can't crawl underneath them if they get blown out. And if you're like me, you'll want to squeeze some extra triangles into the side for aesthetic purposes, because once you build up with a wall, you're going to have some holes here and there that somebody could throw grenades or rocket into. So you want to seal it off as much as possible. But the main thing is those 3 triangles and the walls that are going to be placed on top of them, allowing you to fully seal off this area. And remember, just like a cave base, you need to leave these walls exposed until you can upgrade them to at least sheet metal, because otherwise you're not going to be able to reach them once you finish building the other walls after them. Our first concern is getting our TC down and secured. You can see that there's like a little area over here that we can push a triangle deeper into, and then we can seal our TC off over in there however we like. This would be a great location to implement a bunker if you wanted to, but we're not going to be doing that in this video. The rest of this main base is going to be all triangle foundations, and as long as you place the first 3 down similarly to how I did, it doesn't really matter how the rest of it plays out. We can work with what we got. So this is as far as I was able to get in while still being able to completely wall off the TC inside of a single triangle. And I've also got an extra layer of walls ready to go just in case I need to seal it off if somebody tries to raid me before I upgrade the other walls behind it. Now that we've secured our main base TC, we need to do the same thing in the front so that nobody can come over here and steal this from us with their own. And just because I think it's cool, there's like a square cutout that you can see in the top of this rock right here, and I'm trying my best to build within that just for fun because it looks cool and fits in there pretty nicely. For the moment, this is basically a glorified gatehouse, which we're going to use to get in and out of our base because the other side's completely walled off, and we can expand this into whatever we want over in the front later on down the line. It does not matter if you can only upgrade this to wood. You just need to get it down, get a door down, and get the TC down on both sides of this base before you continue doing anything on the inside, so that you can claim the area, go out and farm, and then upgrade it. And then once you've upgraded these to at least stone on both sides of the base with a sheet metal door, you can continue building the interior. The TC for this gatehouse is going to go on the inside if you placed your 3 triangles in the back correctly where we're sealing it off, and you built in alignment with that square cutout in the front like I've done here. You'll have enough space over in this corner to squeeze a TC in before the building privilege overlaps. And then we're just going to build whatever the heck we want in here and connect both of the bases together by building the foundations from the cave base out towards the gatehouse, because we've got more room on the inside to squeeze more triangles in so we can get more doors and walls down, and then the gatehouse can extend outwards outside of the base. From here, it's probably a smart idea to start building out your honeycomb over in the backside and getting it upgraded as soon as possible. But if you don't know where your loot rooms are going to go, that wall in the back you should leave as twig just to figure out the floor plan before you upgrade it so you can get your loot rooms down and have storage and your workbench and all that. And like I said, we're building the cave base as close as possible to the gatehouse, and we're going to want to level out the foundations so that it's not annoying and having to jump up and down all the time. If your 2 bases are at a weird angle like we are here, I'm just going to squeeze some triangles down, and you know, if you keep falling in a hole, you can put a small box there, a large box, a campfire if it's not as tall as this is, so that you're not falling down all the time. And then our door is going to go right here. So what you should be thinking about at this point is, how can I make the front side of my base just as strong as those 7 to 9 walls that we have on the back side? You can do a snake pattern like this, and you see up in the top here, I've built a secret room, which I like to call an attic. In every single one of my rock bases that I used to build in the past, I would always have some sort of attic that I can go into and seal off in case of an emergency. If you want to go really crazy with it, you could have a bunker that leads to your TC, which also goes up into the attic, so you can open and close it whenever you want to. But most of the time, I just have a lot of doors, and I make a maze, and then it's pretty difficult to even find this. And if it's an online raid, I'll just seal myself off in there, which gives me a little bit of time to figure out how to get out of that situation. The rest of this interior, I'm leaving in your hands. I'm showing you a short example here of what I might go about doing, but the whole fun about these types of bases is stylizing them the way that you want to, just like I do with my attic that I showed you. The only thing that needs to be known, and is pretty much the same every time, is sealing off both sides of the bases correctly. And then in this case, we have 2 different bases, which means if one side gets taken over, the other TC's building privilege overlaps. And stuff like this is something that a newer player might not understand, or veteran players might have forgot about or never done themselves when this used to be in the game. Get crazy with it. Tell me what you want to do in the comments for yourself in your own version of these Godrock builds. And since this is my full circle video on this channel, you know, the first video was a Godrock base, and now here we are, 6 or 7 years later, doing another one in the new world. We're about to hit 10 million views. If you're a longtime viewer, thank you so much for sticking around and suffering through all of my videos until this year. I got a new computer. Shit's going crazy. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave a dislike if you didn't. And I'll catch you in the next one.